Welcome back to another episode of Private Parts with me, Liv Bentley. This is the podcast where nothing is off limits. Today we have a very special guest whose job is part of one of the oldest and needed industries in the UK. She's a farmer and she is Isobel Connell. Woo! This one I'm fascinated about. I've wanted Isobel on my sofa for a long old time. And actually Isobel's we're childhood friends.
We are, yeah. So Liv and I were neighbouring farms, I suppose. You were on Barrow Farm and I was on Mill End Farm. So my father used to chuck me over your wall quite often while he goes and checked the sheep and leave me with your mum, who already had 5 children to deal with, plus me.
Your father was the farmer for my mother.
Yeah. So we still farm.
The whole, because I was going to ask you, how many generations have you been at Barrow? Or the Hambledon Valley?
Well, we're 5th generation farmers. So I'm 5th generation, 4th generation at Mill End.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, never left that valley. Never left the valley.
Oh my, it's phenomenal. She lives a wholesome life, everyone. That's a life
I don't know wholesome, but yeah, never left the valley and married the neighbour next door to make sure I definitely didn't leave the valley.
Listen, farmers get down and dirty. I've heard. I think they're a bit more rogue than we are. I say that. I'm not that rogue anymore. Anyway, how did you get into it for starters? Obviously it's family, but were you always interested in farming?
Yes. So from the minute I could walk, I would be out with my dad, going around the sheep, going around the cattle, annoying him, helping him do anything and everything I could. And then, but I did have a slight change of heart at college and decided I wanted to be a lawyer and live the London life, and started doing qualifications towards that. And then one afternoon, Dad and I were worming sheep and he just said, Bella, are you sure you really want to move up to London and do the big high lifestyle in London? I said, no, I do really enjoy this. So I really quickly changed my university applications to law and ended up going to Harper Adams Agriculture University all in an afternoon. Mum was not very impressed because all of a sudden throwing my big career away. And actually it was the best decision I ever made.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely love it.
I mean, that's amazing.
Did a degree in agriculture, came home to farm alongside my dad and my now husband. So we've set up our business and we've now joined the businesses and we're still farming. And we've got 2 little boys that I hope will farm as well.
The sweetest little boys. But Isobel had the most amazing father called Oliver, who I remember it wasn't Oliver, it was... What was he called? Dave. We used to get in the back of his tractor.
Oh, who
my parents would go
Dave.
mental. Dave, because Dave constantly had accidents. We'd always be in the tractor.
A liability.
But can you explain briefly what happened to your dad?
Yeah, so I very sadly lost my daddy in May of 2020. So just at the start of lockdown, he had an accident involving our cattle, which was horrendous.
It was awful.
So sent an absolute shockwave through our family and our community, because farmers are such a pillar in any community, especially in the UK. And so when the accident happened, the outpouring of support for our family was absolutely unbelievable. We had nearly 1,000 people line the road from our village right through to Henley to clap the procession of tractors.
It gives me goosebumps actually when you talk about it. I've never seen anything like it, and everyone was just standing there and all these tractors. How many tractors came?
52 tractors and other agricultural vehicles, quad bikes, gators, you name it. Everyone turned out. Even the bin man pulled out, clapped him through. It was unbelievable. And every person that he'd ever helped, whether it's just cutting their hedge with his tractor or mowing the paddock or, just helping them in one way or another. Farmers are so important in a community.
Yeah, that goes to show how loved he really was.
Yeah, he was. So,
and the impact he has on everyone.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for everything he's given me in terms of my personality, because I'm exceptionally resilient because of the accident, but because he was such a positive person.
Yeah.
So I think if you can treat every sort of instant in life, because, there's always going to be hiccups and bumps in the road, if you can treat it with positivity and channel that energy into something good, you'll be doing well.
No, that's amazing. So wait, who now runs Mill End then? You do?
My husband and I.
So you do that and your own farm?
Yeah, so we're sort of running as one farming business altogether.
Okay, talk me through day to day. What do you do? The first thing when you get up, what are you doing? And at what time are you getting up?
So it completely varies throughout the year. Totally. So, for example, lambing time is really full on.
It's my favourite time of year.
Yeah, so there's a story there. from when Liv was a child. We'll go
I
back
was
to.
a little tomboy, and now I'm like, maybe I should get into farming. I think I'd love it.
I think we need to do lambing live with Liv. I think
Yes.
it would be a real success. It'd be hilarious.
I'd love to.
We lamb at the minute. We're lambing 1,500 sheep. So by the time we finish lambing, there'll be another 3,000 lambs on the ground if we have a really good lambing.
Oh my God.
So it's a lot of animals, and it depends on who's doing the night shift, who's doing the day
So when you
shift.
say lambing, what exactly does that consist of?
So all the sheep are pregnant, they're about to give birth,
Yeah.
and we do some indoors, some out in the fields, and it's just making sure that everything's going well, nothing's got a problem, so the lambs are coming out safely. You have to assist quite a few if they've got a head stuck or they're coming backwards.
That's what your sweet father made me do once. He caught me in the field and I saw a sheep lying down and he was like, shove your hand up his ass. I thought, what? And I was walking around with milk bottles hoping to find a lamb because I was just basically stealing these poor mother's babies. It was awful.
My fondest childhood memory of you is we were in the main farmyard down at Mill End, and little Olivia's come through on her bicycle with her lovely old-fashioned basket with a lamb in it again, and my dad's gone, oh, for God's sake, like, Olivia's back again. And
With
I'm
another
like,
fucking
With
lamb.
another lamb that doesn't need to be an orphan. And she's like, it hasn't got a mum. And my dad was like, thanks, Olivia, sweetheart. We'll be fine. We'll bottom feed it. But actually, it had a mother. Olivia just thought she was being very helpful.
No, you know what I think would happen? The dogs would have chased them. That would terrify us all, was the dogs chasing the sheep.
Yeah, dogs are a huge
What's
issue.
my favourite video that's ever gone viral? Fenton! Did you ever? I bet it wasn't the sheep,
with
it was the deer.
in Richmond Park.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was the classic. That's quite a daily scene for us.
Really?
So dogs, like, actually, I'm going to take this opportunity
Do
while I'm
it.
on a podcast. Keep your dog on a lead.
Yeah, can you explain this? Because I don't think people quite understand what it means. Because like in parks in London, it's one thing keeping a dog on a lead, but there is a reason behind it when you're in the countryside. Or
Well, anywhere where there's going to be livestock, basically, dogs are, whether you like it or not, they're an animal, and therefore they have animalistic instincts, and it doesn't matter whether you think, oh, my little Muffy's never going to touch a sheep. If a dog gets a chase instinct in it, no amount of recall is going to bring that dog back. And I've lost so many sheep over the years to dog attacks. Yeah. My worst attack was 2 Labradors got out of a property overnight and they killed 60 sheep in a field.
Fuck.
And my dad and I went out and it was like no man's land, picking up injured animals, dead animals. It was horrific because people just cannot keep their dogs on a lead.
yeah, see, that's a fucking.
And they
nightmare.
think, oh my goodness, it's a domestic pet. I never thought it'd do it. It's an animal. It's got an instinct. It's going to do it.
Other than it being quite brutal, what sort of cost does that? What does that cost to
Oh,
affect you?
thousands.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because your breeding flock is not necessarily about the money. It's about how many years it's taking you to get that really strong bloodline to give you the good genetic traits that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So some people breed sheep for wool, so it can go to really high-end clothing.
Yeah.
Or mattresses. We've just started supplying Hypnos mattresses with our wool.
Oh my God.
And some, we breed for meat, so it goes into supermarkets and butchers and various things. So it takes years to build up those genetics. And then when you wipe it out, you can't really put a value on it because it's taken so long to get that genetic line back to where you want it to be.
Yeah. God, everyone keep your dogs on your fucking
Yes,
lead.
so if I'm going to take that opportunity to do that.
And then what does because obviously there's so many different different types of farmers. What sort of farmer are you specifically?
So we're classed as a mixed farmer doing beef, sheep and arable, but we've also diversified really heavily in our farm business. So we have set up a campsite called Chiltern Retreat, Rural Camping.
Oh, yeah.
And that we started in sort of 2012 and have slowly built it up. And then COVID hit and it went buff because everyone went to outdoor camping.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because they were allowed to meet outdoors in groups of 6, if you remember that dreaded
Yeah,
period of time. So that's another side hustle that we've got because farming doesn't stack up all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to keep your cash flow coming in because there's always a tractor going to break down. You're always going to need a few more sheep or more cows or more cattle feed. So you've got to keep that cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
So we've done that.
What is the most expensive part of farming for you?
Like I say, every year is different. So this year, for example, the weather has been against every farmer in the UK. If anyone started watching Jeremy Clarkson,
I want to
he
talk about
has
Clarkson as
shown
well.
a real raw, brutal reality of UK agriculture.
Yeah.
And this year we had such a wet wet winter, and then we've gone straight into a really dry spring, and all the crops have started to die off. So that our yield this year is going to be absolutely appalling.
Really?
And it's the fact you've got 12 months worth of inputs in the soil. So you've planted your seed, you've fertilised it, you've sprayed it, all the labour that's gone into it. So you're carrying cost for 12 months before you see a return. And then if that crop fails...
It's a fucking hard job, isn't it?
It's horrendous. And so you have to diversify if you can. There's plenty of farmers up in Wales and Scotland that wouldn't have access. We're so close to London.
Yeah.
So we've got a marketplace there with people coming to camp, and we've got commercial units that we let out as well.
Yeah.
But you can't do that all up and down the country. So I think, one point I would like to make today, if I can, is the UK government are really stuffing UK agriculture at the minute.
So what?
Not supporting us.
So what do you want them to do?
This inheritance tax they're putting on family farms and their businesses is disgraceful, because we're an island nation. We're supposed to be apparently in a pre-war era.
Yeah.
As an island nation, if we need to shut our borders down, you can't rely on importing food. You cannot rely on the importation of goods.
Yeah.
So you have to be self-sufficient in your country. And all of a sudden, like the shelves were in COVID, the shelves are empty because the supply chain dries up because more and more farmers are going to go out of business because they cannot afford to pay this tax the government are going to put on people when they die.
Fucking ridiculous.
I'm a 5th generation farmer. When my dad died, I had the ability to use the 2 current tax reliefs in place for farmers, which is agricultural property relief and business property relief. And they're on about, removing those or allowing a small threshold for them. And you just can't. Farming's so expensive to set up. Our combine's £500,000. A tractor's £250,000. 2 tractors and a combine, and you've hit that £1 million threshold, and then you're being taxed on 20% thereafter before you even put the value of your land in.
It's fucking ridiculous.
You can't do it. And the margins aren't there. You have a crop failure, you've got very little income that year.
Fuck.
So
you drove your tractor up to Westminster, didn't you?
Yeah, I've done it twice now. So I've been up to Westminster processing 4 times.
No, but it's a pretty amazing amount of people that showed up.
Yeah, and it was...
What was that like on the M4?
Horrendous. No, we were on the A4.
Wait, keep
we
going.
can't go on the motorway.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But it was the most moving experience because it was thousands of tractors. I was disgusted that there wasn't enough media coverage on it because it should have made front page. It was unbelievable how many hundreds of, I think they had 800 tractors or something.
Jesus.
And thousands
But it
on
goes
foot.
to show how needed it is. Like,
yeah, there was 50,000 farmers on foot on the first protest. 50,000 farmers all in Westminster protesting. And the solidarity in the farming community is huge because we can see the real danger these new policies the government are proposing will threaten UK agriculture and the food supply.
have they started to say anything about potentially changing or no?
No, they won't back down.
They won't?
I don't think so because they will
going to
lose
happen
face. Well, the inevitable, farms will go out of business. People will start selling land when they can't pay the tax bill upon the death of their parent or, heaven forbid, their child. Like in our case, my dad died before my grandmother, sorry. And, people will start selling land to pay tax, which means less and less land is in production.
Have you noticed already, like even where we are, there's a lot of land there, but do a lot of people who buy these big estates ultimately sell off a lot of the land?
Yeah, or you have what in the Hamilton Valley where we are, none of them are buying it to farm the land.
Yeah.
They're actually people that can afford it because they've earned their money in another industry and then they need someone to farm it. But if there's no farmers left to farm it, what's going to happen to it? It's all going to be either housing developments or some people will go down the rewilding route, which is important. There is a balance, but not in productive land where you can grow food.
Yeah.
Because we do need to supply people with food and the population is increasing.
God, it's mental. Do you find it hard being a woman in this industry? Or is it not really an issue?
It's not an issue anymore. I think it was years ago.
Yeah.
And if anything, I find it an advantage at times.
I bet you do. Those others? No,
I do because you bring something else to the table.
Yeah, because it's quite unique. I mean, not unique. There are more and more, but it's unusual. You get a young female farmer who's so like...
Yeah, and I think if you're passionate about what you do, the one thing I bring to the table in our business is I look at stuff like the diversification side of it, say the campsite, and I've got that ability to communicate with people, whereas, say, my husband, he's really happy working the land, sorting out that side of stuff. And I think if you find a good balance with whoever you farm with, there's a place for everybody.
Yeah.
The only thing is, they are definitely, men tend to be physically stronger as a whole. I am a strong girl, but there's plenty of things they're better at, especially mechanics. Don't even give me a spanner. I'm hopeless with that. But give me a sheep that's in a very tricky birthing situation
And
I can
get it out.
Yeah, sort it out. But
what percentage of like the UK is farmland?
so they say approximately 70% of UK farmland is farmed. So a huge proportion. And it's not just farming, producing food that I think a lot of people don't see. They don't see the caretaking that farmers do of our countryside. So all the hedges getting cut, the footpaths being maintained, the buffer strips. You know, on our farm, we've already planted wild bird feed strips, bumblebee mixes and things like that. So there's lots of other nature enhancing things that farmers do in conjunction with producing food. And if you start to chip away at that, even 1% is thousands of hectares in this country. It's massive, the more farms that go out of production. This is a really, really serious issue that just doesn't seem to be out in the media enough at the minute.
Do you think Clarkson's Farm has shed more light on it in a way that it might get people to start listening?
Definitely. I have never known somebody go out into the media and put farming in a very real light like Clarkson has, and I'm really grateful for him, and I'm sure most other farmers are as well, because so many people come up to me now and goes, I've seen Clarkson's Farm. Oh God, I love it. And they become like an expert farmer because they've watched Clarkson's Farm.
I thought that at one point. I actually really didn't appreciate how fucking hard
it is. The hours are long.
And the loss, if something fucks up, or like the weather, you're like...
The grind is tough. I mean, your mood can go from absolutely, oh my God, this crop looks fantastic, to having like a storm overnight. We used to grow oilseed rape, but we don't bother anymore.
I remember those fields.
You have one thunderstorm and it shattered the crop and you've lost your crop overnight, and another thing is, I know there's a big push for organic farming, but there is still a place for conventional farming, and we use chemicals to control pests and disease.
Can you just explain the difference quickly for anyone listening, the difference between organic and...
So organics, where you are very low input, so you're not utilising any chemicals or manufactured fertilizer to increase the yield of your crops, which is what a conventional farmer would do. So, for example, in oilseed rape, like I just said, you get a real problem with a beetle that will attack the seed, and it can cause a complete crop loss failure. So you would use a seed dressing to try and prevent that insect eating it. So there is a place for it, because organic farming is great and it is important, but it's also, you do have a demand to feed a lot of people, and we need to keep the yields up, and it's very hard to do so if you're not using methods to control pests.
Do you think that some people do use farms to get out of paying inheritance tax?
There's certainly people that, like I referred to earlier, come from another industry, have a lot of money, and they can put their money into land and save themselves the inheritance tax bill on that asset. Definitely. But I think the government approach of just a blanket, let's tax everybody that's got land, is wrong. They should be able to come up with some sort of test to prove that someone is actively farming. And if you're actively farming, producing food, providing a benefit to nature, that asset shouldn't be taxed on, because it is needed and it's such a necessity. The UK will go hungry if people start getting behind this government notion. I mean, it's fucking bollocks.
Ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Have
you got any more protests coming up?
There's plenty. It's just...
Let me get in the tractor.
We're now... I know, that would be fab. Lambing live with Liv and tractor protest. You're going to do a full career change. But I think the biggest thing is just people need to understand it, because it's very easy on paper to see... On paper, you're worth millions if your farm is worth millions, particularly in the area we farm, because we're right outside of London. So the agricultural value of the land is through the roof, but it's not in reality. You can't produce a crop that's ever going to return you on that investment enough to warrant paying a tax bill like that. That's the tricky thing to get people to understand. Land value is so high, but the return you get on it if you're genuinely farming it is nothing like the value of that land. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing to get people to understand. On paper we're worth millions, but when you come to actually pay a tax bill...
What can people do to sort of help this? Like, can the general public do anything that's like...
I think just keep writing to your MP. If anyone can write to their MP and say, I really feel strongly against this, join us on the protest. Even just showing farmers that you're supporting them is a massive morale boost, because there is still a lot of negativity around agriculture.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting blamed for all sorts, from greenhouse gas emissions to everything else. But
can you explain all this? What's the issue?
if you really want my honest opinion,
tell
can I
me.
be completely honest?
You can swear as well.
I think it's a load of bollocks. I really do. Cattle, you cannot tell me they are one of the key causes of climate change, because during COVID, all air control stopped, all cars stopped, and emissions literally hit the floor.
Yeah.
We were still farming, we were still feeding the cows, and they were still farting.
Yeah.
There is obviously a place where everything needs to become slightly more efficient from a green perspective. But
I don't think it starts with farming.
I agree. I think it starts with huge industry and, you know, aeroplanes, cars, all those direct emission. Cattle graze grass, which captures carbon. You know, they're in a cycle on their own. They're doing their own little net zero. So I'm quite anti-climate change. I think it's bollocks.
Yeah.
But that's
blaming you for no
controversial.
reason.
I know
Cheeky
it's controversial.
Fuckers. No, it's not. It's good. I think that's good. And then another controversial thing. What does humane slaughtering mean as opposed to just slaughter?
In the UK, everything to do with the animal food industry is exceptionally regulated to a very, very high standard. So in the UK, everything is humanely slaughtered.
Yeah.
But there are even more routes you can take. So Waitrose use Dovecot Park, and I know they play classical music in the lairage to keep the cattle calm before they go in. Genuinely, it's a thing. And it's just a case of being respectful to those animals that are going to slaughter to produce food for us. They've had a very lovely life. They've lived outdoors, mainly grass-fed.
Yeah.
And I suppose my argument to people that are against animal being used in feed or wool byproducts from sheep is, who are they to say that that animal wouldn't have wanted to live at all? Because that's the reality. If we didn't have a purpose for them, they wouldn't be here. Yeah. So who are you to say that sheep hasn't enjoyed, you know, a couple of years of its life skipping in a field happy to not being there at all? Yeah. I know I'd rather have those 2 years than not at all. I know that's getting a bit deep, personifying animals, but that's sort of my argument to it when people protest against using animals in food.
Has it affected you personally? Or?
Yes, massively. We've had protests at our local market where we've had a huge vegan movement in front of the market, stopping cattle and sheep trailers coming in so we can't sell our animals. Our local abattoirs had the same. So there is a huge movement about it. But I think when people... don't get me wrong, you do get bad eggs in every industry. And the annoying thing for us as farmers is 99.9% of us are all brilliant at what we do. And we all work our socks off to make sure our industry is so the best it can be in the world. Yeah. But you are always going to get one rotten egg that is a complete twat with their livestock or something, and they let the rest of us down. Yeah. And they're the ones that these campaigners will just latch onto, use that in their media and really push a really extreme version of something that's not.
But with that sort of thing, what can you do to someone like that? Like, say you knew someone who was behaving badly or doing...
You call them out on it. You report them, you call them out. I personally don't. I've never come across someone... Yeah. You know, I'd like to think all the people that I socialise with and I'm friends with and in my farming community are really solid, good farmers. Yeah. Animal welfare is top of their list, you know, and being a good arable farmer, making sure your crops are the best they can be. And I think as an industry, if we can uphold that really high standard, and I think the UK has a really strong springboard to come from in the global market, you know, because we are a fantastic example of how things should be farmed. You go abroad, you see some shocking things. Yeah. That's inhumane. I'd say in the UK, everything's human. Yeah, I do.
Videos of like the dogs and stuff.
It's awful. It's awful. It is awful. And I just think the best way any consumer can back British agriculture and the right type of agriculture is to go to your local butcher, buy local, support local where you can, go visit your local farm. I'm massively into education and getting agriculture on.
There's not enough there's not enough of it, but I mean, it's definitely not something I learned in school.
No.
And
I'm desperate to get it. I think it should be on the curriculum because I think so many 100%. People are so out of touch with where their food comes from. So
Have I used a fucking compass since school? No. but I should have actually learned about this.
Yes,
My future career.
You know, they really ought to tag it into geography or science or.
Have you noticed, are there a lot of younger people studying agriculture and / wanting to be farmers? Or has it changed at all over the years, do you think? Or
I'm not sure on the stats, but I know the agriculture university I went to, there's definitely a steady incline in the business side of it. So diversification and things. But there are more and more families in farming that I know of that are discouraging their children from going into the industry because it is such a hard industry. It's brutal. And if you haven't got opportunities to diversify, you're going to have a really limited cash flow. The inheritance tax is going to be the final nail in the coffin, where you're going to work your ass off all your life.
For nothing.
And actually then it's all going to have to be sold to pay tax. So I think there is a real lack of want to go into the industry unless you can see opportunities in other things. So if you can do farm to fork, which I'm massive on.
Yeah, so let's talk about this for a minute. So explain this, farm to fork.
So farm to fork is a massive push that the NFU and various other farming bodies in the agricultural industry are pushing, where traceability is really important. So, you know, where your foods come from, how it gets to your table, and also providing you ideas of what to do with it when it gets there, sort of thing. So I'm a massive driver of this. I'm a real keen foodie.
Isobel does a side hustle called Only Pans, and she's basically like the Nigella Lawson of farm to fork.
No, it's not. It's something Olivia came up with in Ibiza.
I've had Isobel bending over. I think honestly, if you get someone with their camera, they need to film you. Isobel cooks the most phenomenal looking Sunday roasts. Is that all home?
Yeah.
All of it?
So where it can be, yeah. So nearly all the lamb, we always get a few lambs slaughtered and then have them back for our freezer. So it's our lamb, same with our beef where we can. But if not, then I go to our local farm shop, Lacey's, and that's all local produce as well that comes to them.
Yeah.
So I use local, I shop local wherever I can, and then I try and create nice dishes and then post silly little videos about it and call it #OnlyPans.
No, but they're great. Yorkshire puddings are enormous.
I would love to do more on that though, because I think
you should do it. Honestly, it's like my not food porn, but I love these women who go into their gardens, get their vegetables, and then they whip up something phenomenal.
I just think Nigella Lawson was obviously hysterical, but she was serious with it. I would love to do a satire version of it, you know, like peel the carrot.
But also,
I think it'd be hilarious.
I think you should. I think it'd be so funny.
If I have more time, my 2 children are priority at the minute, but when I get more time, it's something I would love to do.
I'll come down and film it.
Yeah, no, I think it would be funny.
Oh yeah, have you got any funny farming stories? Who was it? Didn't we? There weren't there naked men in one of the field ones.
Yeah, I've nearly ran a couple over that were shagging on the hill when I was checking my sheep.
Really? Was it me?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
No. It was your sister. No, I'm joking. Yeah,
probably would have been.
I can tell you that story.
Oh my God. What sort of niche that's gone on in one of the fields?
Oh,
let's leave the Bentley family out of it, but.
So I was checking the sheep one day on my lambing rounds and was coming over the hill, music blaring, looking at the sheep, and all of a sudden this man's jumped up stark bollock naked and going like this because I was heading straight for this couple that was shagging in the long grass and I was about to run them over because they were nowhere near the footpath, but they were obviously having a meadow moment.
Oh my God.
And there I was, just oblivious,
about to
literally flatten them. And so don't shag in the fields in the long grass because you could be run over by some random sheep farmer.
Oh my God, that's
He was mortified, I was laughing.
Was he just standing there bollock naked?
Literally waving because I was heading straight for them. So I just had to slam the brakes on and there was just an awkward moment of silence where the sheep were like, meh, in the background and he's just there like, oh shit, what's happened? So yeah, that was quite a funny moment. And I'm trying to think of anything else that's ever come up. I've had a sheep in a swimming pool once at a pool party.
We had some of those at home.
Yeah, they just got out and ended up in this swimming pool.
No, we had a horse. This is completely irrelevant. We had a birthday, which I'm sure you would have been at, and I remember a few days later we were doing our morning walk and there was one of the horses had a condom hanging out its arse. So obviously someone had gone to bonk in that field and this horse I think it was one of your mother's horses.
Oh my God.
That were up in our fields, yeah.
I don't remember Grandma telling me this.
No, it was a bit rogue. I hope it wasn't my father.
Poor old Kevlar, leave him alone.
How has the fast food industry affected farming, or has it?
I think there's a place for everything in the market. And actually, we used to supply McDonald's beef.
Did you? Yeah.
We used to get a cheque signed by Ronald McDonald when we sent our cattle to the abattoir that supplies McDonald's. So they've all got a place. And as long as they're using UK produce, I'm all for it.
Because what is it with McDonald's now? Is it actually meat or is it not?
No, of course it is. Yeah, no. McDonald's.
Because you hear, no, because there's every other day there's some lie about something coming out.
No, I tell you what, McDonald's are actually a really reputable company, and
Really?
they have backed UK agriculture.
Eat your Big Macs.
Yeah, because they back UK agriculture. They will
Yeah.
source UK beef, and it is UK beef. So
Any
there's
companies,
a lot of mis.
Yeah, let's talk about them for a minute.
demeanours.
Okay, are there any companies, brands that you know are a load of shit? Or ones you should look out for?
I think all supermarkets can do better. There is no doubt.
Okay.
It really pisses me off, especially in springtime, when I go in on Easter weekend to Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's, and you see New Zealand lamb plastered all over the shelves, and you know you've just sent a couple of hundred lambs to market that week that'll be out there somewhere for them to buy. But no, they've chosen to import a load of crap from New Zealand.
Why is it? Because they think that the customer wants something different.
Well, because it's cheap and it's available. It's cheaper. They're producing on, tens of thousands compared to our scale.
Yeah.
So therefore their costs are lower. But you cannot tell me that it is not worth spending that bit more. I understand there's a lot of people that cannot afford to pay out for very expensive products here, there, and everywhere. I get that. So just eat meat a few times a week, but make sure when you do buy it, you go to your local butcher and you buy local.
Yeah.
Don't just go and pick the cheap crap off the shelves. The mass-fed chicken, the Danish pork. Actually go, no, this week I'm going to eat X, Y, Z on these days, and I'm going to spend a bit more money on this produce that's so good because it will have had a much better life. It's in the UK, it's got lower food miles. I'm really passionate about it. And that's the farm to fork thing that's trying to drive it. Your traceability. Where's it from? How's it been treated?
Just because it sounds awful, and I don't think people really think about it, do they?
No, not at all.
They don't. It's not, for some reason, you'll look at the ingredients on your skincare, but not really what you're eating.
Something like 11% of household expenditure is just on food and non-alcoholic drinks, which is so minute compared to the rest of what you spend all your money on. And surely you should be spending more than 11% on your food. So now people are quite happy to pay for Sky Sports or Netflix or anything else, but they don't care about the food.
Yeah.
And actually the food is so important because without food, you need a farmer 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. How often do you really need Netflix?
Yeah.
Prioritise your spending. What's important?
So
your nutrition is so important, and where your food comes is important. And the more people keep spending money locally, the more it's going to help farms be able to keep going and thrive and support the UK food system as a whole.
Where do you honestly think that it's going to be in about 10 years from now?
I dread to think.
So, how old are your boys? They're young.
They're 4 and 6.
James
and Charlie.
Do you worry I'm assuming, want to be farmers?
Oh my goodness, they're tractor mad.
They are the sweetest little boys.
They think, I think they will be farmers, yes.
Do you worry about what it's going to be like when they eventually get there?
Yeah, I worry about what my husband and I are going to see now.
How quickly it's going to be?
Yeah, already we are seeing huge changes in our industry. The regulations are becoming so ridiculous and not relevant to actually what should be regulated. So, for example, SFI has come out, which is Sustainable Farming Incentive. And there's some really good stuff in there. So you're being paid by the government now to take land out of production.
Okay.
To have more rewilding, if you like.
Yeah.
So more bumblebees, more butterfly meadows, more wild bird feed strips, etc., etc. That's all really good stuff and it's all really important. But the problem is when you don't own all your farmland, so we farm just over 3,000 acres, but only own 220 of those.
Yeah.
So the rest of that is all rented. When you start making it more favourable for a landowner to claim money off the government for these schemes, they will not want you to farm their land. And therefore we can't match that rent. We can't pay a rent to that landlord that's going to match what the government are offering to grow bumblebee strips. So I think it's really flawed, these regulations and these schemes coming in, because it's not relative to what's needed. There is a balance needed.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to farm in conjunction with nature, not nature with a bit of farming on the side, because your food supply.
And obviously, as it's a family business, you live on the farm. How do you manage work and party work and party? She's a mother farmer.
Work and party.
Yeah,
Good.
work and party.
Yeah, I party
Do you
hard.
switch off, or do you feel like you're just on the whole time because there's always something that could happen?
No, we don't switch off very well. We're not very good at that. Because when it's your business, especially, and I think that's true for all business owners.
Yeah, it's like your baby.
You're constantly worried about everything, but particularly when you've got animals.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a crop is in the field. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail. But if you get a load of sheep get out on the A40,
screwed. Or you get some disease.
Or you get a disease, which, you know, and TB tuberculosis is a massive threat into UK beef at the minute.
Really?
And dairy industry, because cattle are going down with it left, right and centre. It doesn't actually affect the food chain, by the way, before anyone freaks out listening to this. But it's really wiping cattle farms out because of the regulations the government have imposed. So if you go down with tuberculosis, you cannot sell your cattle for 90 days until you go clear on the next test. That's 90 days without cash flow.
Oh my God.
90 days without sale. It's utterly barbaric.
And what diseases are that could go around that you'd actually have to kill off all the...
Oh, it's too many to mention. There's all sorts. Anything could happen. You can get toxoplasmosis, which causes abortion in your sheep. So therefore, you could have all your sheep pregnant, and then just before lambing, you start aborting. Where does it come from?
Or it just happens?
A lot of it's airborne, but could be spread through midges or bodily fluids, or if you buy in stock from another farm and they've got a disease you don't know about, it goes undetected, but it's too late. It's on your farm. So there's lots and lots of different threats all the time in agriculture. It's a very risky industry and a dangerous one too. You know, like we were talking about earlier with my dad, but I still wouldn't discourage my children from going into it. Yeah. That said, it is still also a really fabulous... I love what I do.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling. I think my proudest moment was, I don't know how many years ago, I'd finished university. It was about 2013, 2014. My husband and I had been in business together for a couple of years. We'd done our first lot of lambing together as a couple, which was...
Romantic.
Romantic, yeah. A lot of Chinese takeaways on a bale in the lambing shed. Not quite the date night I was expecting. And then we got our first batch of lambs ready to go to market that were fat. And I've never been so proud. Like, we have done this together.
Yeah.
Really hard graft, blood, sweat and tears. And we've got a fantastic product at the end of it that's going to go and feed a family. And that is an amazing thing to be able to do. I've done a thing. You know, people say, I've done a thing, but I've really done a thing. You know, I'm feeding someone. Our will is now going to Hypnos Mattress.
That's amazing.
This year, which is so cool. And that was just me making a connection with someone saying, oh, hey, we can supply you. We're UK based. We're near your main factory. It's good. I think a lot of farmers need to get better at getting out there and trying to establish connections with other businesses to make it more streamlined and cut out
if you're a farmer, get in touch with Isobel and she'll guide you.
I'm busy enough.
Because this was there are lots of public footpaths through farms. What can people do and not do when they're on them? Because I know there's people leave gates open, people drop litter. What's the damage that this actually does to the animals?
The litter thing is my biggest bugbear. I pick up litter all the time. Can I say,
it's fucking offensive. When I used to drive home to my parents' house, there's shit on the side of the roads and in the fields.
I think people are just so lazy and they don't have any concept that someone's got to pick that up. An animal can ingest it and then die a really painful death because they've got a balloon in their stomach. And please, can we stop releasing Chinese lanterns and stop releasing balloons when you've lost somebody? When you've lost someone, don't release a balloon into the sky. It's not going to them.
I didn't even think about that. I just thought about small children's parties.
It's going to kill an animal or end up in a hedge that's then going to get wrapped around a bit of machinery. It really, really pisses me off. So litter and dog shit. Pick your dog shit up. It's full of worms. It's full of neospora, which kills calves.
And it might ruin your shoes.
And it ruins your shoes. That's a biggie.
And don't drop your fag ends.
Yeah, well, if you're a dirty smoker like you, Liv, yeah.
Put them in the bush. Now, how does Lady of the Valley relax? What do you do to get away from?
I am really into my fitness, so I love yoga and
downward doggy.
Love a downward doggy. Everyone loves a downward doggy.
I love a downward doggy. Let me just say, it stretches your back out.
And I joined my gym ADV in Henley about a year ago to get back on track with my fitness. And I love it because I can just go in really early in the morning before my day starts.
Are you not fit enough running around doing just general...
Well, you say that, but since having the children, my roles changed massively on the farm. So pre-kids, yes, I was on the farm all the time, like messing about with the sheep, the cattle, on the tractors. But now we've diversified into the campsite and the lets. I'm in the office so much and there's so much paperwork that I do spend some days I'm in the office nearly all day. So I like to go to the gym, do a workout. There's a really nice group of people there that aren't farmers. It's quite nice to get outside.
Do you get a bit bored of the farmers' chat?
You never
Is
get
it
bored
always
of
the same? I bet
It's always
the
the
weather,
same.
the harvest.
The weather, the latest broken tractor, how much the local machinery dealerships pissed you off because they haven't done you a good enough deal on a tractor. It's always the same.
Same chat.
And actually, I love it. And it's always the same old stories that come out when you're all drunk in the pub. So it's a real pub community, the farming
Wait, I want to
community.
know, what was your farmer husband's chat up line to you? Oh my God, I just realised I crashed your wedding.
Yeah, you did.
I wasn't
Well,
invited.
No, your parents were invited.
My parents were invited and I ran barefoot through the field
To get to
with
the
a
wedding.
mate to come to your wedding.
Yeah, well, your dad's 60th was the same
Yeah,
night, wasn't it?
that was it. Me hammered going over the
Yeah, no, it
fences.
was good fun. So I know he's going to kill me for saying this, but this is a true story. My sheep kept getting out in his cattle.
Here we go.
And I couldn't understand why. And I was like, they're not. And then one day he said, I'll meet you down there by the gate to see if we can get them back in. And that's sort of where it all started. 1 minute, you're chatting at the gate, and the next minute,
You're married.
You're married with 2 kids.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and him and I, we're a really good team. We go back a long, long way. Our grandparents are actually buried side by side in the churchyard
Oh my
because they were
God.
like best mates. And his grandfather had to pay to get my grandfather out of the Navy to come home and farm when they had
Remember,
another.
that's such an incredible story.
Yeah, so I think our ancestors, would you call them ancestors?
Yeah.
Our relatives that are now gone would all be really chuffed that we got together, and now we're sort of farming together as well.
That's amazing.
So we've joined the farms up and we're farming.
I need to get on Muddy Matches.
Yeah,
if anyone
you do.
doesn't know, that's for the farmers.
Yeah, I think you'd be.
I could be the farmer's wife. I could be the farmer.
You could be
actually.
only Pans.
I could sell my lube in the village. People like it down there.
CBD lube.
CBD lube. Give them a
Oh,
vibrator while they're sitting on the tractor. Actually, you wouldn't need one sitting on those tractors.
Funny story about your lube.
Tell me.
You gave me. We'd been shooting one day together, and you gave me a
the little
sample
vial,
pot of Jomo CBD lube when you were trialing it out, saying, "Just let me know what you think of it." And I put it in my shooting jacket. Didn't get it out. Forgot all about it. Went to go on a shoot a few days later. And the loader was pulling the cartridges out of my pocket to load in my gun, and went and tried to load a CBD lube.
My lube into your thing.
Into my gun.
Oh my God, stop, that's
And I was
hilarious.
like, oh my God, he's like, lube in your
Did he
lube?
actually do
Yeah.
that?
I was like,
So good.
I can explain this. I'm not that kinky.
She's a naughty farmer. That's
Naughty
hilarious.
pony. So I was mortified trying to explain, and then the more I explained, the worse it got and the kinkier I
Keep
looked.
you on behind the hay bales.
Yeah, so I think he got more
Just
than
to
he
finish
bargained
off,
for.
what advice would you give to anyone who is thinking about getting into farming or is interested in it? What should they do?
I think the best thing you can do, obviously educate yourself in it. If you can go on some courses at local colleges, universities, that's great. But the best thing is get experience, get out there, be ballsy, go to a farm and say, look, I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to put the hours in if you can give me your time to show me. Because a lot of farmers are really busy and time is not on our side. But if you're willing to learn and you've got a bit of savvy, then they're willing to put the time into you. But you have to be prepared for the long hours. There's none of this, I need every
9
week.
to 5 rubbish.
No, it is. Harvest is relentless. We'll be going into the night. If the weather's about to piss with rain the next day, we will be going until it rains, and that means long, hard hours. So as long as you're willing to graft, there'll be someone willing to help teach you and get you into the industry.
What's one thing our listeners can do to help out farmers?
I think
Buy your local meat.
buy local meat. Yeah, everyone loves a good bit of local meat.
I love a local sausage. Oh,
And
hello.
I also think educate your children on where their food comes from, because they're the next generation. We host the school once a month, sorry. And I think it's really important.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. They're
that's
coming
quite
on Thursday,
amazing.
and I'm taking them combine harvesting to see where their wheat comes from.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying that the female in the industry have a better, maybe they're a bit more maternal, so they're happy to have children on the farm. My husband's like, oh my God, all these kids running around. But I'm like, yeah, come on, we've got to teach them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we haven't, they're our next consumer base.
Yeah.
They're our next generation that needs to respect the agricultural industry.
Yeah.
So I think educate your children, buy local and support a farmer. If you see one out and they're in front of you in the tractor, don't just honk your horn pissed off. He's also trying to get to work. He's also trying to get somewhere. Just be polite.
That's
just
so
wait.
true. Anything exciting coming up this year? So you've got to rush back for the harvest. Anything else going on? Any only pans?
Oh well, if you saw my Sunday roast content yesterday, beautiful bit of British pork.
What's your
on there.
Instagram so people can follow you for a bit of local, a little fetish? A food fetish, that's what it is.
Connell Isobel.
Connell Isobel,
It's
everyone.
not OnlyPans yet, but there's a
It
lot of
will be.
OnlyPans content on there.
Thank you so much. I think that's amazing. I find it fascinating. Listen, I'm going to be coming down to get down and dirty with those lambs. That sounds so sick and twisted. I'm not going to get down and dirty. I'm going to find a local farmer who can show me how to hoe. No, joking. Right, let's end this. Thank you so much. And it's Isobel Connell. Thank you very much.